I am a temple who walks the earth. My womb is fertile for giving birth. I am a woman planted in truth. I grow my branches from sacred roots. You are the form of who you want to be. So come untethered, your soul is free. We're here to heal, we're here to thrive. We are a dream who's come alive. We light a candle, our hearts awake. Illumination for God's sake. A revelation for God's sake. An evolution for God's sake. An inspiration for God's sake. 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 For God's sake.
Hello, Essence. This is Jody England, and you are listening to Wild Soul Medicine Radio, Part 2. For those of you listening to the recording, all is well, and you are good to go. For those of you who were listening live, my internet actually cut out just after I announced we were taking callers, and so that required a restart in a few different pieces. So sorry for that. We are back. We are live, and I'm also just still working out a couple details in the reboot, but we wanted to pop back on. So give me 1 second while we do all of that, and we'll see if we are going to be able to take callers or not. And of course, this is so funny, right? Because there's been a ton moving through my space. So there's no hiding out from this. Anytime some shit is happening on the radio show, there's some shit happening in my space too. It sort of sucks being a super powerful energy sorceress when you have to use energy for your work. But technology, right, is so affected by energy. And, for those of you on my list, I told you in the email inviting you today that I've actually just experienced this week, probably one of my biggest triggers ever around sisterhood and support and sacrificing myself for relationship and opening to receiving. And it was all of that wrapped into one. And then probably one of the biggest energy clearings I've ever had in a session yesterday. And my system is still feeling so tender. Like I really do feel like I had major surgery yesterday. And so my system feels a little turbulent today. And there's a lot moving through. There's a lot being undone and put back together. And that's not super comfortable in the moment. And it's also perfect. I mean, that's what transformation looks like, is we're not always done. We're not always put together. We're not always sunshiny and fixed. Sometimes it feels pretty damn uncomfortable in between those spots where we are, somebody shared this poem the other day. I can't remember who it was by, but it's about transformation and swinging from one trapeze to the next, and believing that as we grasp one piece, one trapeze, that we are somehow safe or good, or that's the thing, and in reality, it's, the true space is the space in between the grasping one and grasping the next, it's just how we roll. And especially if we're going to be out here on the edge of evolutionary velocity, we have to start to get comfortable with those spaces in between and discerning about, does it even need managed, for one? And also, navigating this space of like, do I continue to show up? Do I feel those feelings? Do I give myself space to just be with the feelings? And so that's kind of, that's really what we're playing with in this new paradigm. What I can tell you definitively is I do not have the answer to that. Other than in this moment, it feels like it's important to just feel the feelings, to just feel them and to be real about them, because, that would be the way of doing it. What people would typically do is put that behind the scenes and show up professionally and pretend like everything is good. And I think that's the disservice that largely has us in the quagmire that we're in, of being so disconnected from our feelings. So that's where I am. And given all of that, it doesn't mean that I can't show up and hold a beautiful space for what's wanting to move through you. And, and perhaps to even create a bigger space for that as we allow permission for, whatever's showing up for you to be fully alive. And, maybe there's tears and maybe there's fear and maybe there's anger. We don't really know, but I'm here with you and I'm willing to be with whatever is present for you. So it appears that I do have my Skype up, Viv. So if we still have a caller on the line and you want to put one through, let's go ahead and let's do that. So we'll just wait for a minute and allow that caller to make her way to us. And we will dive in here and see what medicine there is for each of us. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, the way this works is even if you're not the woman in the hot seat here, you can actually still follow along. So whatever she is bringing up or bringing forward as medicine will also be medicine for you. And so you can just follow along as if you are in the hot seat and start clearing along with her. And it's really just a beautiful process of give and take, how we get to, play together in this space. So it looks like we do have a caller at this moment. And so let's go ahead and say hello. Hi, this is Jody. You're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, Jody. This is Jillian.
Hi, Jillian. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for bearing with us as we did our restart there. I appreciate you still being here.
No worries. I appreciate being the first one and you taking my call.
Yeah, wonderful. Good. Well, where shall we start today? What's up for you, love?
Well, I would say everything.
So, I know what you mean.
I'm in a very interesting place, and I guess I need to shift, and I think that whatever shift it is will be a shift that will affect all of the areas. I'm feeling a little stuck with work, money, and relationships. So I guess those are the three main areas.
Yeah. So see if you can give me a summary, or if you were to look at the essence of the stuckness in those three areas, what do you know about it, or what are you present to?
I'm stuck in a job that I hate, and I'm not. I feel like I've sort of dug myself into a situation with investing myself into commercial real estate by going after the money, and now that I hate it, I'm not producing at all. And so I'm trying to make that shift. I'm also a yoga teacher, and I am in the last 2 months of my holistic nutrition course, and obviously I want to get to starting my own business and such, but I'm nowhere near that process. But I feel my job is holding me back and making me lowering my energy, definitely. And I've kind of invested more than 3 years here, so I'm kind of a little bit resistant to just walking away and getting another regular job when financially I've invested into doing this, and these deals haven't come in yet, and I'm having conflict with my boss because of it. And on top of it, I'm having conflict with him because of certain ways he's treated me and kind of harassing way, and which is causing me to not produce because he's not treating me properly. And so I'm kind of in this place where, should I just step up and walk away, or?
Gotcha. So, and then just give me a sentence or two about what's happening relationship-wise. You said that was a third area, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just trying to decide. I mean, it's a pretty new relationship. It's only been 6 months, but it's a lot of, he's great and all of that, but I'm part of me is like, I can't tell if it's my fear that's pushing me away, or if it's my intuition saying this isn't right for me. And, you know, I love him and he's great, but we have communication issues, and he triggers me. He reminds me of my mother, and it's triggering me.
Got it.
And I feel like he's committed to doing certain work, but it's still a trigger, and I'm kind of balanced between, okay, accepting what is and not trying to change somebody, and is this right for me, and can I accept this, or...
Got it. Beautiful. Great. So thank you for sharing all of those spaces. And it feels like where we're going to go with this is it's related to the dynamic of your energetic exchange with life. If you've been following that series of shows that we've done, it's also related to your soul path, right? Because those two are one and the same. And I read you as a heroine, soul path. And what I feel is, you know, in all of those situations you named, what it looks like energetically is like you sitting in the back row of yourself. And so the exchange with life that's happening is this very hollow one where you're going through motions, but you're not actually connected with the motions you're going through. And then there's there's kind of two dynamics. So there's one dynamic of your little girl saying, you know, is life going to treat me fair? Am I going to get what I should get? Because I'm a good girl and I'm working hard and I'm nice, you know? And then there's there's an undercurrent of I told you so, or like a little bit of like it's a self-sabotage, but you know, it's there's sort of like it's like a backlash of like, I'm going to be good, but you're punishing yourself. And it's the ultimate dynamic is this fear of actually exchanging as yourself with the world, right? So you're doing this job that doesn't resonate, but it's also a good hideout, right? It's a good hideout of you not actually fully showing up, exchanging as who and what you are, right? And what I sense is you don't actually know who and what you are. So let me just pause and see, how does any of that resonate with you?
I feel more that I'm a warrior soul path. That's the one that resonated most with me, because I'm my energy may be a little bit low today because I'm in my office space, so I'm not 100% as comfortable as I would be if I was at home and free to, because there's things going on outside of my office. In terms of, I mean, I guess I do see the punishing myself and I told you so, definitely, and not connected with my emotions definitely I'm going through the motions because I feel stuck, right? So I'm doing what I have to do because I feel overwhelmed. I'm at work 50 hours a week, and then plus going to school, plus teaching yoga, and I feel kind of stuck, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm just checking to see. So, one of the things about soul paths is we don't want to get too hung up on the labels necessarily, because we can also just work with the energetic. And I definitely feel that in the energetic. And, there's sort of a misconception that if you're angry about something that you're a warrior, right? So we all have anger, but there's like a general way that, a warrior would operate. And so as I experience you, you're much nicer than a warrior. So a warrior would be in a conflict with the boss, but completely from a fuck you, I know better sort of a way. That would be very forward. And
that's pretty much how I deal with him.
Okay. Yeah, I don't get that. But, a warrior would be unlikely to stay for a long time in a job they don't like, right? They would get fired or they would, blow it up. And
blow ups, and it's already elevated to the point, and I'm exercising my power by saying fuck you, I'm not doing anything. And which is why I'm not booking meetings, and which is why I'm not producing, which is he hasn't fired me because he sexually harasses me. So and at this point I've racked up debt being here because I'm waiting. It's commercial real estate. You have to wait 2 to 3 years before deals close because they're long deals. And for whatever reason, 10 deals that I've booked have fallen through for whatever reason. He's the one responsible for closing them. And I'm the one that books the meetings with the CEOs and the presidents, and I go to the meetings with him and do the work. But he's been doing it for 30 years. I've been doing it for 3. So he closes them, and for whatever reason, a whole bunch of them haven't closed that I've booked. And so I'm living off of a draw against commission, and the commission is not coming in.
Got it.
And now I'm getting frustrated and pissed off because I've racked up a huge debt supplementing the income that I'm not receiving. And, I wanted to hold it out to get a couple of deals and then be able to move on. But now I'm just exhausted because it's been 3 years of making $2,500 a month with the expectation that these deals are going to come in. And in 1, 2, 3 years, I'm going to...
Got it. Yeah, I got it. Let me just pause you there. So that actually felt a little warrior to me, like what you were just saying there, and the prickles, like I can feel the warrior in that. And I have a curiosity. You might actually be both, which is a little bit unusual. You might be a warrior and a heroine, which it's interesting because those two paths are in some ways opposite. So when they show up together, it looks almost like being a split personality, like two people, right? So in some ways you do the heroine things like stay in a job that you don't like and get disrespected and, have sexual harassment happening. And then also you're the fuck you and the struggle and the battle and the, right. And so it's like, a good girl, bad girl, like having, the angel and the devil on each side. And it also then it ends up causing a lot of stuckness because it's like, am I good or bad? Am I going to, which one's going to lead? And the difficulty is actually healing the divide. So for that particular combination, there's really a divide, like a fracture in the self, and everything becomes very black or white. Right. And so the healing of that path is this coming together in the midline of embracing the both and in your own system, the masculine and the feminine, the good and the bad, the place in between. Yeah. Is that resonating?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good. Love that. Okay, so let's just see which piece wants to be worked with today. Yeah, actually that. So you have a whole, so rather than you dealing with either the warrior or the heroine path for right now, I'm going to give you a new core energetic to play with. So we'll play with it here, and then this will be the one for you to play with on your own too. And this is the core energetic is healing the midline. Okay. So all of your energy work, your yoga practices, your meditations, I want you to be playing with where is there a split in me and how do I knit it back together? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can even see it in the way that you have kind of these two paths going in your life, right? You have this very masculine real estate path, and then you have the very feminine yoga path, but they're completely separate, you know? Like kind of two different lives within the life. So there's these external representations of them too. Mm-hmm. So right now, I'm going to just play with, I'm just going to look at your midline for a second. Yeah, so to me, it almost looks like a zipper running down the center of you. And then you can create more or less of a split depending on what situation you're finding yourself in, you know? And so I want you to just tune in and see right now if you can feel that zipper right down your middle. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And see if you can see, like, where is the zipper right now? Like how if the top of the zipper would be closed at the top of your head, like how far down is it open right now?
I feel it's open from my head and then it stops at my heart.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yep. I see that too. Good. So the zipper would be resting right around your solar plexus or just at the top of your solar plexus. Do you feel that?
I feel it going all the way down, but I feel it's open from my head and then it stops.
Sorry, I mean the zipper pull, you know, like the control mechanism, let's say. Feels to me like it's, right there at the solar plexus.
Yep.
Yeah, good. All right, so let's play with, let's just start, right? We'll start with the easiest thing. So let's imagine that you could take a hold of the zipper pull and just really slowly, we're going to imagine that you could start to zip it up. And we'll just pause if we get stuck. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so just go ahead and start. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we might be stuck already. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, when you get something caught in the zipper and it won't go. It feels like that. Great. And, you know, that's fine too, because there's a reason. There's some programming there in your heart that says it's not safe for me to be zipped up or to have congruency in my heart space. So I want you to imagine that you can step into your space behind the zipper and just kind of see, like, how is it stuck or what needs to happen to allow it some room to move. Yeah, what do you notice as you take a look?
I'm feeling stuck and I don't feel I'm not getting anything.
Great. Were you able to actually even step inside your space?
Yeah, I could get inside, yeah.
Okay. Right. So imagine you can turn on a light. Turn on a light switch. And then just have a spotlight shining right on the back of that zipper and see what you notice about it. So to me, it looks like it's kind of rusted. What do you notice?
It seems like it's caught on something.
Mm-hmm. Great. So by the way, this dynamic, this stuckness is one of the hallmarks of the warrior / heroine path. When those two come together, this is going to be the thing, right? It's like either or. There is no win. right? So you're constantly setting up two camps and there is no middle ground. So just know that when you start to feel like you're stuck or there's no win, that's your dynamic at play. All right? No judgment, just noticing that's how it'll show up. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great. So can you see what's stuck in there?
I can't see what it is.
Great. So let's imagine, so you could have some helpers here if you would allow that. Just imagine you can call in a helper. So it could be someone you know, it could be an angel.
Okay.
Good. And just imagine that they can go in there and they can free up the zipper. They can take out whatever's stuck. They can clean it up. So if it's rusted or there's residue or something, they can shine that up so that it would make it easier to move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. Let's give them a minute because there's a fair amount to clean up. Good. And then I also feel like it's almost like, you know how when there's too much in a suitcase and you go to zip it, that the zipper gets a lot of stress on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like right now that's how it would be. Like even if you could move the zipper, it would be really tight and it would strain the connection.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if we can even, let's see, I was going to say rearrange the space, but maybe if we just add some spandex in the zipper or in the whole rib cage and the back so that we don't actually strain the zipper. We can just allow the outside mechanism to come really easily together. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just imagine you can add some flexibility. This is also another big piece of the unraveling of your energetic is adding flexibility, right? Adding that gray area, right? That there can be more than one way. So anytime you can add flexibility into your system energetically, that will really help.
It's so funny because I'm abnormally flexible in yoga, and lately I've been noticing I'm more stiff than I normally am, which I mean it doesn't look like but anything on the outside because I'm very flexible, but on the inside I can feel it, and I'm like, oh, why am I?
Yeah. Isn't that great? And so the reason it happens, so it gets all of our core dynamics get triggered when we get stressed. So when you have something going at work, or when you get up against your threshold of, your next edge of evolution, or, whenever anything stressful is happening in our lives, then we revert to these core dynamics, right? So you're just naming there's a ton of stress happening, and then it becomes like a vicious cycle, right? So you have the stress, so you slip into the dynamic, and the dynamic creates more stress, right? And then there we are in our loop. So as we start to understand our mechanism, then we can start saying like, oh, somehow I triggered my mechanism without knowing it. Let me start to unravel that energetically. And then I create some space, and then I calm some system down. And then, then we're stepping out of the dance. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So I can feel that. I can feel your system trying on, tentatively, right? That's your way. Tentatively trying on this, adding some flexibility. And I feel like you could even add some more space within the flexibility by adding actual space. So I want you to take a big breath. And then as you exhale, just imagine that you can actually, like if it was cloth, where all of the stitches are like cross-hatched, imagine that as you exhale, you actually just move the stitches apart. So now there's even room between them. Does that make sense? There you go. Good. Good, good, good. Yep. Great. Okay, so now I'd like you to see if you can play with zipping the zipper up a little bit. Not far, maybe just an inch or two. And see how that works.
Yeah, it feels like it's moving.
Yeah, much better. Good. So let's see if we can zip it up just a little bit more. Beautiful. Beautiful. So go ahead and just pause it there. To me, it looks like it's kind of right at the bottom of your throat. Is that where you were feeling it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Perfect. Good. So let's just stay there. That was a big move for today. And what I want you to feel is if your heart feels more safe or less safe with this midline zipped up.
Feels. I don't think it feels more safe.
Sorry, you faded out as you said that. You do or don't feel like it's more safe.
It feels more contained, but I don't know what the word is.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it feels more safe.
Yeah. It feels like to me, it's funny because for most people, having an quote open heart space would be, the clearer energetic. But for you, it feels almost like the open heart space was more of a like invitation for wounding. And there's, again, it's that setup of which camp, right? Is it right or wrong? Is he winning or am I winning?
Mm-hmm.
And so for you, it's about actually creating a space for you to be whole. And from that space of wholeness, then the things outside of you begin to show up as a reflection of wholeness rather than something that has to be categorized or judged or labeled.
Mm-hmm.
Know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it becomes a more, it's an experience that's more full of self rather than one that is fragmented and controlled outside of you, right? You're not in reaction. Mm-hmm. So right now, with it open, you function in almost total reaction. With it closed, you have the ability to actually feel yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You get that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Good. So, so there's so much more here. I know you can feel that. And the play in your meditations and things can be, again, like all of the crossover exercises in yoga, like where you're crossing arms or where you're crossing your midline with your body parts. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Those are great energetic exercises for you. Also then energetically playing in this way of like, okay, great. So what could happen to, move it, now to my throat and then later to my head, right? Because the head is the primary operator of your system, particularly, right? Because it's the place where logic and reason and pro and con listing and all of that happens. And so playing with your brain, getting on board with this idea of grayness and softness. So take it slow. It's not something to force, but your brain immediately wants to go into like, okay, so what do we do then? So what do I do in the relationship? And then, what needs to happen with this job?
That's where I'm going.
Right?
Yeah, so I'm feeling stuck in making decisions and I'm trying to use my intuition, but I'm like.
Totally. And even that question, right? Like, is it brain or intuition? Is that, separation of the two?
Yeah.
Creating a this or that. And in reality, everything is both, right? So we have intuition and then our brain does some things. But what will cure the energetic is you actually just being in this energetic, right? Not jumping to the headspace, which causes the zipper to go down, but actually just being here, just letting your system start to acclimate to wholeness, because that's the place that actually creates all of the stuff your brain is trying to figure out, but the energetic below the brain is what's creating it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I guess what my feeling is that I don't know what a right feeling is. So my brain is constantly trying to figure out what is right and what I should do and
yes,
how I'm supposed to feel. And
yeah, so let me pause you. So the even that question, right? The brain's trying to figure out what's a right feeling or a wrong feeling, then you're not having the feeling, right? So actually there is no right or wrong feeling.
Well, no, I just mean in terms of making a decision, like making a choice of what is the best thing for me to do in terms of moving forward in situations in my life. And I know it's not a right or a wrong feeling, but I guess there's a right choice for myself, right? Or a best choice for myself, right? In terms of...
Yeah, and when you listen to this back, when you hear this recording back, you'll hear what I'm talking about, which is it's about the feeling. So I'm going to pause you here in the conversation of the brain and the decision and the rehashing what we just talked about. And I'm just going to ask you to drop below the neck and just be in the feeling. And it will be difficult, right? Because your brain wants to keep intervening and you have your habit and your pattern. And this is for all of us as we start to work our core energetics. Is it's so tempting to dive back into what we know and what we've been doing. And there's a safety in that. And then it just takes this really intentional practice of doing the opposite. So rather than trying to discern a right feeling, actually just having a feeling, that would be the untaming of that for you. So my encouragement is...
having the feeling.
Say that again?
Sitting with the feeling and just having the feeling.
Just having the feeling. Sitting with the uncomfortableness of wanting to make something of it. And not doing that. Not making something of it. Just having it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for playing. That was fascinating. And I know we do have some people that are the same template as you who are listening. So thanks for showing us kind of an unusual path and also so much medicine in that for everyone. So thank you,
so
Jillian,
much for taking my call today.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Fun to play with you. Thanks, love.
Thanks.
Bye. Great. Awesome. So this is also so good because we've had lots of people who've been on the show before have not been warriors. And also, often we don't get people who say no or who resist a lot. And so if that felt uncomfortable in your system, there's medicine even in that, right? There's medicine in I don't like conflict, or, I don't like people who are stuck. And then there's a place in your system to clear where you are stuck, right? Because you can only have a projection about stuck if you know it, And so let's actually just take a minute and clear that while we wait for Viv to put our next caller through. So just feel that place in your own energy space where stuckness lives, where you also hold on to it with a death grip. Or if your story was more about like, oh my gosh, she's so in her headspace. Well, what's making that a judgment and assessment, right? Your headspace. So take a minute and just love your own brain. Love how it does all those things for you. And then just invite yourself to clear, because actually as you clear that for yourself, it also creates a space for every one of us to find a matching vibration where we then make it easier for each other to clear, So, so just go ahead and let that pass through. And then if you're not sure what your energies were, just go ahead and put a bubble out in front and have the bubble represent any matches at all, whether you know them or not, to Jillian, Go ahead and just imagine, just say, I'm clearing all my matches to Jillian. And just let them come right out of you into the bubble. Yep. And then when that's complete, imagine that you can take that bubble, push it way out into the universe. Great. And then when you're ready, go ahead and return to yourself. And we will open to receive the medicine of our next caller. So, hello, you are on the air. This is Jody.
Oh, hi, Jody. This is Grace.
Hi, Grace. How are you?
Hi. I'm thrilled to be here. And a little window into the energetic that I'm coming with, I'm looking at my page of notes while I was waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's arrows all over the place. You know, there's just lots of stuff. So the reason I'm calling is I felt like, okay, first of all, I watched your live call, your live, whatever it is actually, with Ali yesterday.
Mm-hmm. The hangout, yes.
You know, about the energetics around money
Mm-hmm.
and what it really is. And I felt into what, not just around money, because it's really about everything, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I have an image. I'll give you an image. So, I'm standing in front of a tower. And as I look up, it's just taller and taller and taller and taller. And the more I look up, the more it's bending towards me, over me, and it's going to topple at some point. And what this represents for me is I'm getting so much reflection in my life lately, like in the last year, and more recently even, that there's really some medicine I have for the world and the people around me, and that it's true. But then there's something, all this stuff that gets in the way. It could be boxes that need to be opened. It could be files that need to be filed. It could be all the things I haven't done, all the things I'm not remembering to do, all the things that I'm not remembering that are important to me. It goes on and on and on. And like I start feeling suffocating, crushed. Like I've always wondered how people could just sit and read a book and not be concerned about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I've been able to do it, but not lately.
Mm-hmm.
So is this painting a picture? Is this,
I got you. Yeah.
Should I say more?
I got you. Thank you.
And it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything in the way.
Yeah. So this is really great. So I read you as a shapeshifter and great mother. Is that what you are?
Yeah.
What you think? Yeah. That's what I thought.
Actually, the other way around, apparently.
Okay. So great mother, shapeshifter. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so here's what it feels like. Like you're talking about the page with all the arrows and
and it goes, and I can't read it. It's like when I was
right.
doing my hospice work, my note, my cheat sheet was like a mess.
Totally.
Other people's cheat sheets who were great nurses and did great charting and everything, they have a few words.
Yeah. So
I had to write everything down so I didn't forget what the patients or the family said.
Great. So we're going to do an exercise right here. Okay. So I'm going to say something to you, and I want you to listen from a space of total presence, right? So I'm going to start by getting you into presence, and then I'm going to give you some information. Okay. So go ahead and imagine that you can collect your energies from all.
By the way, that golden bar in our body was a beautiful one.
Great. And so that, right, what you did right there, right, is a perfect example. So we're going to start to turn off all of those other little rabbit trails that you keep open to yourself, right? It's a little ADD-ish, right? You might be ADD,
yes,
but I think actually energetically we can fix it. Okay? So we're just going to start. So I want you to imagine there is a really powerful magnet right in the center of your head. And I want you to turn the magnet on. And then just start to feel it lovingly calling your attention and energies out of the places they are in right now, other than right in the center of your awareness, right? So just allow that to happen. Yep. And anytime you feel the urge to talk or to report something, go ahead and just see if you can allow that to pass.
Okay.
Good.
Doing it.
Yep. And so actually I was just going to pause you right there, which is, so I want you to feel the feeling as you start to allow those energies to come all into one place, like to consolidate. I want you to feel the fear that starts to rise in your system. So it's subtle, but there's a little...
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah.
Okay. So just...
I feel it.
Yeah. So I'm going to commentate for everyone else. I want you to just keep in yourself. And so for those of you who are also gathering, there's a reason, right? All of these constructs, there's a reason why we have them. Because at some point it felt safer for Grace to be tracking everything rather than actually being in her own space. And so...
It was absolutely necessary, actually.
Yeah, of course it was, sweetie. And in this moment, we're just retraining her system, because in this moment, she doesn't really need to be tracking everything, even though she still is, right? So we lovingly see that. And then we're just starting to call ourselves in. So... all of us can practice this, even if you're not ADD, even if you're not a shapeshifter or a great mother, right? We all track more than we need to. So you're just practicing, like along with Grace, can you allow your energies to begin to disentangle from where they are and make their way back into the center of your own space? Right? So no need to report, Grace. I'm tracking you. Isn't that fun? So just continue. Just to continue to allow them to find you. And what I like to imagine, because I'm also a tracker, right? I'm a galactic tracker, so I have a really hard time letting go of my ability to see everything all the time. And what I like to do is I imagine the things I'm letting go are just outside my space, so I can still see them and I can scoop them back up if I want. Right? So they don't have to disappear into nothingness, but it's like I get to play with the experience of just having all of myself in one spot, right? So that's easier for my system to let go of if I can still see what I'm letting go of, but it's just outside my space. So maybe try that.
Yeah, that's good, because I'm afraid of letting it go, because then I have to go and find it again.
Right. Yeah, so just practice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to gather up a little bit more. Yeah, good. Okay, so I'm going to pause you there. I can see that you've done a great job. I think you've got about 70% of your attention in. There's about 30% still connected to other things, but we're going to leave that for right now, because what I can feel is there's anxiety programmed into your system. And if we pull more in, it'll be distracting to actually work with what's here. So we're going to kind of straddle a balance, right?
Okay.
So with the attention that's here, I'd like you to scan your nervous system and feel the level of anxiety that's running through your nervous system right now. Right?
I've got it.
You notice it? Mm-hmm.
There's a pounding in my heart space.
Yep.
And then the tingling, I can just feel it. It's just running all over the place.
Yeah, totally. I can feel it. And I feel it especially, I feel it throughout your whole system, but it feels especially concentrated in your upper chest. A very up energy,
yes.
Like, you know?
And hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to play with calming your energy system down, right? Because it's this jitteriness that has you reaching out for things to ground yourself or to like tie you down. And also it has you not feel yourself or feel what's the jitteriness in your space.
Well, it's scary too, actually, but so yeah.
Say the last.
I think it's time to dive in, or at least step in.
Yeah, say the last part. I didn't hear what you said.
I think it's important. I think it's time to dive in, but then that's a little too scary to think of diving. So I think it's time to start stepping into that pool.
Yeah, and actually,
in there.
so yeah, because there's a few things. The tower you were looking at is actually you stepping into you, but
Oh God, that's gotta go up.
right.
What do you mean it's me? I mean all the piles of things I got to deal with, or
You stepping into like literally like being in your own container, right? And the first barrier in the way of that is this jittery nervous system that would not feel very fun to step into, right? So I want you to imagine actually that you could locate the switch that regulates your nervous system. So it might be in your brain, it might be in your solar plexus. Just feel where that one lives.
I think it is in my solar plexus.
I think so too. Yeah, so go ahead and imagine you can step into that space.
Okay.
And it feels to me like out of a scale of 1 to 10, your system is set about on an 8. Is that what you notice?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're just going to practice. I want you to begin turning it down. So turn it down to like a 7. Right? And we'll just go slow so you can process. And just feel what a 7 feels like in your nerve endings.
Okay.
Good. And now let's go to a 6. Good. Go ahead and take a big breath there at a 6. And as you exhale, imagine you can send peace right down all of your nerve endings. Yeah, do it again. This time, let me hear you exhale. Great. And now this time, imagine that you can exhale internally, if that makes sense. So instead of directing the energy out, direct it in and through. That makes sense?
Well, yeah, and what I felt this last breath was it went down as far as above my diaphragm.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, so we'll just play. There you go. Good one. Good one. Great. So let's go ahead and turn the knob down one more notch. Good. And just be with that one for a minute. I'd like you to also, we're going to add a quality of brown. So brown energy. Right now the energy system is like on red alert, and brown is like a grounding energy. So just imagine that from that volume knob, you can almost like inject.
Change the color?
Yeah, just change the color to brown.
Okay.
There you go. Whew, that was good. Nice. Good. So let's see if we can turn down one more notch. Yes, I'm present to a cramp in the back of your solar plexus. Do you notice that?
No. When you said cramp, I felt something more like upper back left shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Like a catch or a tightness or something that's wanting to stay closed.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm making that up right now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm on the air. Now I feel it upper back.
Okay.
And I've had some rib problems lately.
Yeah. That's where I'm feeling it in the back of your ribs.
Right, lower rib and back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's just see what we can do to ease that for you a little bit. Trying to see if it needs some space. Feels like it needs some safety. If you could imagine that you could just arrive there and like stroke it and say, it's okay. Everything's good. I'm just here in my chair in my house. Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody's going to hurt me here. Yeah, I liked that.
You know, Jody, I'm aware of, it's like I'm jumping ahead, but as I'm coming into it, I'm aware of the words around the fear of landing there.
Yeah.
And it's all about landing lately for me. That when I get here, it's like, there's nothing here. Nobody's home. Where am I?
Yeah, so that's your catch-22, right? Which is you vacate the premises by being engaged in everything outside of you. And then as you notice that you're not inside of you, you are afraid to come because there's nothing inside of you, right? So that's the vicious cycle for you.
And there's like the deepest loneliness, like where did I go? Where is everybody?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Totally.
That's been really big and present to me. You know, I've been really aware of that for quite some time, but like more recently because of what we're doing here and what I'm doing in my life. So it's like huge. It's like I'm kind of scared to get in there because like, what if nothing's there?
Yeah, absolutely. And more like the first thing you said, like, what if I get there and nothing's there? You know?
Yeah, and I've lost all my strings. You're like, where'd everybody go?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So this is, this is big, right? This is core level soul healing. This is what your work will be the rest of your life. And, where we just start where we are. So we start with even this fundamental, can I land in 10 minutes? By gathering my attention in one space, right? That's an echo of coming home, right? And then can I prepare my space so that it is a welcoming place to come home to, right? So that's step 2.
Well, Jody, it's so all of this, everything fits, really underneath it all, everything fits in each of us. But that's a big thing right now. I'm creating a new home, and it's called Grace's Landing. The name came to me as soon as I asked. And there's so much around the word landing for me, like the new information that's come in lately. Everything's around that. And I've got beautiful women that would help me prepare this place. And so it's just interesting to me. My mind is like fascinated with how all this makes sense.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, actually.
At the same time, what's that?
I appreciate you saying that because I was just sending an email to a client right before the show who's the same soul path as you, who is, similar. So much similar. Like, this is good medicine for her. And I was just saying the same thing. Like, you have to land. You have to land in yourself and actually, arrive at what's present here. So it's good for everyone, and it's really good for the shapeshifters, particularly, and also, really all of us as women. Like we can all relate to this medicine that Grace is presenting here for us. And so, Grace, my invitation to you is rather than us process it anymore from here, I really just want you to feel it. So, you can, if you want to continue moving forward with it, you can actually play with, turning the knob down more and making the nervous system even more comfortable. But I also feel like for you, there's a way that if you go too far, then you just go into processy and note taking and, creating poetry about what you saw. And then you're spinning out again. So it's like, I
just want to say, Viv, did you hear that? There I am with my clipboard.
Yeah. So,
she's so cute.
so here's my invitation, right? So a really simple thing that you can tune into is to slow your pace, right? So you can slow your talking. You can slow your response time. You can slow your compulsion to fill a space, right? So that when there's quietness or breath or a pause, you feel like you have to fill it with something, And there's a million levels of that, right? It's here in this conversation, and then it's within your, with your life, within your conversations, all of that. So you're just starting to make room. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you're making room
I do.
Everywhere and allowing room and space to be okay. And then as your system starts to acclimate to that, we take the next step, which is creating space within yourself that you arrive in. But like for now, it's just you're just making space, period, in all of these different ways. So this is how, so thank you, Grace. Thanks for playing. And I'm just going to say some more things to everyone else. Love you.
Love you too.
Mm-hmm.
Love you all.
Yeah. So as we bring our space to a close today, this is what I want you to get about working our soul paths and working our core energetics is that every single thing in our space is a representation of our current energetic. So, energetic exchange with life is like all of the grains of sand on a whole beach. And money is only one grain of sand on that beach. But, all of the other grains of sand are represented, just like we saw here today, in all of the other ways we are interacting with life. Whether, like as Jillian was, where she shows up prickly and, non-aligning and like controversial and separate, from whatever's happening, like always clarifying and making it just a little different. And, or whether it's Grace, where she's filling every space with busyness because, she's afraid to be alone or to have, room. Whether it's me as a, great mother where, I'm constantly looking for who needs fixed or saved. And so I'm filling, all of my, I'm leaking all of my energy into who needs coaching here, or, even with my support people, let me see what's wrong here so I can serve this space also. Right. Instead of receiving the support that's actually in the space or receiving anything that's in the space. We all have our gig. So there's no judgment about any of it, but the piece that I really want to communicate today is we start shifting by shifting, right? Even if it's the smallest little reflection of the thing, where we start to allow space between words, or where we start to receive, one drop of appreciation, or we start finding one yes in our system, on the very, very smallest levels, that's where we begin to realign these energetics. And, and it's from this space of having the energetic in alignment that we start to shift what we're actually creating in the world. And in the old paradigm, people spend a lot of time and effort trying to manage the external, right? Like, let me change my job, or let me change my relationship, or let me, clean up my house, or, whatever that is. But just know that all of those things are a reflection of the energetic. So even if you could get yourself to clean up your house, if it's too cluttered, if the energetic is not shifted within you, you'll just clutter it back up. So what we're doing is we're taking a pause from all of that external activity, and we're returning to tending our vibration. Tending the vibration. That's the only place that actual shift, sustaining shift, can happen. So I thank you for being so willing, for Jillian and Grace, just being willing to show up in your vulnerability and your truth. We see you, we love you, we love ourselves even more for having witnessed and cleared along with you. So if you want to continue this conversation, we'll do that over in the tribe. That's at facebook.com/groups/Wild Soul Medicine Radio Tribe, facebook.com/groups/Wild Soul Medicine Radio Tribe. And if you had any insights as you were listening along with Jillian and Grace, we'd love to hear those over there. Or if you have questions about your own stuck places or your own possibilities for beginning to shift your stuckness, we'd love to entertain those there as well. So one last piece here at the end, I told you that I would let you know about a new way that you can choose your own medicine and receive support for unraveling your soul medicine paths. And so we have created a brand new way for you to interact with all of the sessions from the Woman Come Undone experience. And it's in the form of a site where you can go each day and choose a tarot card. If you only have 5 minutes, you can just choose the card and read the medicine and allow it to work its magic in your system. And then if you have more time, you can click the red audio player in the top right of the card that you choose, and you will have access to the whole 1-hour healing session of one of the women who came undone during that experience in September. And you can clear right along with them. So on most of them, I talk about soul paths. Even if I don't talk about the soul path, there's just so much healing there. And even if you've listened to them, every time you go back, there will be some new medicine for you there. So to reach that site, it is www.magic with a K, M-A-G-I-K, no C, M-A-G-I-K dash school, magicschool.com /come undone. All right. We'll also post that here on Spreaker. We'll post it in the tribe. We'll put it in the email. So if you didn't write it down, there are other places to access it. But if you need it, magic-school.com /come undone. And as you opt in there, it will take you through a 7-day journey. So you'll get an email each day walking you through an energetic and prompting you to pick your next card and so forth. And if you've already if you've already done that journey or you don't need it, you'll at least have access to the site, and you can just go back anytime you want and receive some medicine when you need it. All right. So we will be back again next week, same time, same place. And I look forward to playing with you all more then. Until then, thanks everyone. Bye.
We light a candle, our hearts awake. Illumination, for God's sake. A revelation, for God's sake. An inspiration, for God's sake. Illumination, for God's sake. For God's sake. For God's sake. For God.